Good evening, everyone. It is Matt here at Sector 7. For those of you who might just be stumbling upon this, Sector 7 is an indie comic that my partner Ron Muzicki and I are trying to get crowdfunded, and that is live right now on Fund My Comic and features 7 new kaiju. So if you're like, okay, what's Sector 7 and why are they talking about Godzilla? Well, it is kind of my obsession, um, kind of something I've just really loved and enjoyed all my life. So today was a really huge deal for us. For well, especially for me personally, but for Ron as well, who's a big fan, I know, of Godzilla. We got a new trailer, and if you haven't seen that, I think I'll take this opportunity just to go ahead and play that for us. So bear with me one moment. I'll go ahead and get that loaded. And we are going to just sit and watch this here together for just a moment. Whoop, wrong button.
Godzilla Minus One.
All right. So that was the teaser. There's not a ton there, but man, what was there? I want to just dissect for a minute and kind of talk about. There was obviously some scenes of Godzilla running, or excuse me, from of people running from Godzilla. Excuse me, and one that's just such a classic look and something I don't think Legendary does with the MonsterVerse, um, where you get this sense of terror, like we have to flee from this monster, and I think it's nice to see that make a return. You have civilians are running. It's also pretty clear this is a period piece. We kind of knew that from um, various outlets kind of reporting on that over the past several months. And just kind of talking about how it was going to be set in the past. Obviously, this is like post World War II, but not very much. It seems to be right in the aftermath of it, which should be pretty emotional, I would think, especially for some of the folks still alive from that era in Japan, who may have grown up in that era. I know that age is taken many of them, but there are still some folks around. Just recently, I was able to have a discussion with a gentleman who was a Holocaust survivor. So they are still out there, and that they're getting up there in age, but definitely something that I think would be pretty powerful. I think for especially in that country, I'm really curious to see what they do with it. Moving forward, I think everyone pretty much recognized this design, if you've been following Godzilla, as being part of Godzilla the Ride, or very similar to it. I'm kind of excited about that. Caleb's joined us here. He says, I wonder if this is during 1954 Godzilla or after. That's a good question. I actually kind of think I mean, if I had to say, it looks like this is in the 1940s, so maybe even predates that first Godzilla movie. So I think that's really interesting, and something that'll be we haven't seen before, to be honest. It really wasn't stated when it took place in the original film. We just sort of assumed. I think it was like the present day, but and clearly Japan had been what looked like to be in pretty normal. What do I want to say? It looked we are given no real hint that there's still that's directly following the war in the original. So I think some time has passed, and being in 1954 sounds probably pretty accurate. So I think this might be even earlier than 1954, and that'll be really interesting to me. But just going back to the design, there's a poster that's been released now. Like I said, this is very similar to the design that's featured in Godzilla the Ride, which there were scenes filmed specifically for that, featuring Godzilla and King Ghidorah, and I thought it looked fantastic. I'm trying to remember the director's name, and I don't want to butcher it, but this gentleman is directed some Godzilla related projects. He had a I'm gonna forget the name, and please forgive me. He had a film that number of years ago he featured Godzilla in, and it was a CGI Godzilla, very similar in design, and he seems to keep kind of tweaking that design, and now we get to see that really come to life on the big screen, which I am super excited. Godzilla guy, hello. I appreciate you for coming on. Thank you so much. We definitely appreciate it. I'm excited to have you here. This has been such an exciting day for me personally. I'm blown away. My initial thoughts about the trailer are overwhelmingly positive. I can't wait to see this movie. I think it just looks so cool. I love the design. I am really happy, and I wanted to make this point. Yo, hi Show Goji. It's good to see you. Nice to see you. Thank you all for coming on. Oh my goodness, I've got so many folks. Crowdy and Godzilla guy. Oh my goodness, you guys are all coming on. I'm so excited to have you here. Guys, I see a lot of new faces here that I've never seen before in the chat. My name's Matt. I'm just going to reintroduce myself really briefly here. My partner and I were working on a comic book called Sector-7, and that features 7 all new kaiju. I've got the link in the ticker at the bottom. If you guys haven't checked out our crowdfunding campaign, it is live now on Fund My Comic, where you can see that link there at the bottom. So wonderful to have everyone on, and we're just talking about this design, and it's a much more traditional design than we've seen it from Toho in recent years. Beginning with Shin Godzilla and the anime trilogy, we really got some different takes on Godzilla as a monster and what that looked like. Actually, true story. When Shin Godzilla was coming out, I actually thought, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Shin Godzilla, the images that we saw, wasn't his final form. And I'm sure everyone knows what I'm talking about with the tiny arms, right? I was certain that was part of his evolution. I was willing to bet money on it. In fact, I was so certain that there would be another stage where it would look more traditional, at least in the upper body, and we didn't really get that. I love Shin Godzilla. I think it was a great film. It was very serious, but I'll be honest, I could do without a little bit of the weirdness. And what I mean by that, the tail creatures, the purple rain back lasers, and all those things. Very cool, very different take. But I felt like I don't want to lose who Godzilla is. Yeah, Godzilla guy says here, Shin looked a little goofy. I agree. Like he almost had a bowling pin type of shape to him at times, but I really loved that movie. Let's see. C1 Sivan Plays, I think is how you pronounce that. If I butcher that, I'm sorry. It says very good movie. I agree. I think the thermal guy says if he ain't chunky, I'm going to be disappointed. Yeah, I mean, he's got to have the thunder thighs, right? He's got to have those hips. That's kind of a necessity. Anime trilogy was kind of mid, though. I'm with you. I was supremely. Can I be real? I I love Godzilla. I love Godzilla, and I love what you can do with this character. And I just felt like Shin Godzilla, I really do like. I really am a fan of that film. Um, I just I felt like we were getting a little bit away from what makes. I don't think you need tail creatures and tail mouths to make Godzilla cool. It was just a little weird, and I don't think you really need that to make Godzilla awesome and awe inspiring. So I could have done without some of that. But overall, Shin Godzilla was a great movie. I The anime trilogy to me was so difficult to really get into. We really just I don't know. I felt like they missed the mark. I felt like they missed the mark, honestly, with the Singular Point show as well. Like, I was supremely disappointed. Rodan got reduced to being a pterodactyl essentially. I mean, what to me is so amazing about kaiju and the fandom and just the content is like these monsters are really larger than life, and they have a uniqueness to them that make them special and almost like godlike entities. They are very, very cool monsters, and I thought reducing Rodan to just a merely a dinosaur. I get it. The original was based on a pteranodon and so on and so forth. I totally understand that part of it, but he was much bigger than any mere pterosaur would have been, and clearly, actually, originally he was given the atomic breath that Godzilla had, and in fact, you can still see shots of that in the original film. So clearly, not just a mere dinosaur. I thought they did my boy Anguirus dirty in Singular Point, and again with the weirdness. Just kind of like Andrea says, I kind of loved the Singular Point show. It was better than the anime trilogy. I will say that. It was better than the anime trilogy. I really didn't care for the trilogy. I thought it had some interesting points, but again, this to me was just not. We were getting so far off of what I think really just makes Godzilla special and great. And this to me looks like traditional Godzilla. Like it looks, just it looks like a more traditional design. He looks amazing. I really think he does. I think it's a great look. I've said the same thing about Godzilla the Ride. I thought, hey, I wouldn't mind seeing that in a movie at all. Is it my favorite design? No. I'm still Heisei guy all the way. I love that era. I love how he looks in that era. Godzilla versus Biollante is my favorite Godzilla film. But I'm definitely happy with this design as far as that goes. So let's see here. I just want to catch up with some of the comments because you guys are really active tonight, and I love it. For those of you who are watching this for the first time, again, we're doing this comic book thing. We're doing some promotions. We're actually giving away some kaiju DVDs tomorrow night. I'm going to have my buddy Raf and Shoma on. He is going to join me. We're going to do a watch party of an old show from the early 90s, similar in the vein of Power Rangers. It was kind of a low budget Power Rangers. So if you can imagine how campy Power Rangers was, this kind of takes it to the next level. That show's called Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills, and it is just as epically cheesy as it sounds. He and I are going to watch some of that together. We're going to talk kaiju. I'm sure we're going to discuss Godzilla some more, and we're actually giving away 2 brand new sealed DVDs for someone to get a start on their kaiju DVD collection. The first is a triple feature. It won't really work with my green screen background right now, but I don't know if we can see that. It's going to have, no, it'll disappear and erase my head. Yep. See, so this one, just to read it off, it has King Kong 2005, which was the Peter Jackson Kong, the original 1962 King Kong versus Godzilla, and King Kong Escapes. That's in one DVD set. We're also giving away a copy of Pacific Rim. The deal is you got to be in the chat and interacting with us in order to view that. That's going to be on our Facebook, on our Twitter. If you're watching this now on Twitter or via Facebook, you can find us the same way again tomorrow night. That's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just like tonight, we're going to be doing something very similar. But I really wanted to get a quick video out tonight to really touch base on this. So I just want to read a couple of, let's see, comments here. Rip Ang. Yes, I agree. Anguirus is my boy. I love Anguirus. He was one of my favorites. Anguirus did have cool abilities, though. I agree. It was too small. Jet Jaguar was weird. Like, you gotta do better. Like, those designs were really, as someone else said, mid, in my opinion. Another person, Rip Anguirus. I agree. Aang was just a plot device again. Can't get any worse than the trilogy, I hope. I'm with you, Godzilla guy. I didn't really, I wasn't impressed. Earth Godzilla looked okay. Again, just not, it lacked personality. Like, it really lacked personality to me. And maybe I'm alone in that, but I don't know. It didn't seem to have the heart of what makes Godzilla super great. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Those Godzillas were epic. The plot and characters were horrible. IMO. I think Shin Godzilla, I would agree he looked epic or had some epicness to him. I don't think he's got a perfect design. I really love the plot and characters in that film. If you're just talking about the animes, I agree. The Godzillas looked okay. The plot, characters, I could do without that type of thing. Let's see. Crowdy said just for the spear, and the spear did nothing for the plot. I agree. I wonder if there's any updates on the Apple TV Plus show. I haven't seen any yet, but I'd be expecting those pretty soon. They're going to want to jump on the bandwagon and get more, I think, pub out there for this. He looks like a modern Heisei Godzilla. I think so. I think he's got some elements of the G2K suit with those spines, especially that middle row being so long. I would agree with that. Let's see. Instead of the anime trilogy, we should have gotten the prequel novels animated. I would have been cool with that. I think that would have been a good idea. Heisei Godzilla is just perfect. I agree. To me, that is the definitive look for Godzilla. I would say probably in that 89 to 91, those suits there are just absolutely breathtaking. Actually, the entire Heisei era really looks amazing. But again, I'm a little biased. 89 is just beautiful to me, which is the Bio Goji suit. Heisei, my favorite era, but GMK, my favorite Godzilla. That's interesting. And I know this will be sacrilege to some of you out there. GMK is like really low. I wanted to love it. I love Kaneko. I love the Gamera trilogy from the 90s, but I just felt like it didn't hit that same level of awesome that the Gamera trilogy did. And I know I'm in the minority on that. I love to disagree. I love to have the debate. Godzilla looked okay in it. I don't love it. I thought his upper body looked kind of weak. I think it was a good movie. I also think they didn't do any favors by taking out Varen and Anguirus. I really was disappointed getting those guys taken out. I would love to see their return. I know they were nervous about it not making money, but I think it would have probably been a better film had they left Varen and Anguirus in it. Sorry, I'm trying to read through so many comments. I love how many people we have in here interacting tonight. Crowdy said Toho did everything well on Heisei. I agree. I wouldn't say everything. I think they did a lot of things well. We had some continuity with Miki Sagusa returning in multiple films. I really do like the plots in several of them, but a couple of them were a bit generic. Godzilla versus Space Godzilla didn't have the best human plot going on. It was kind of little weak. They were getting kind of cheesier as it went on a little bit. Um, let's see. I don't think the link is working. Could you try to resend it? Yeah, absolutely. So let me go ahead and grab the Fund My Comic link for you guys. If you're interested in checking out our campaign, I'm going to be straight with you guys. My partner, who's the artist on this, he's also the co-creator with me. I came up with this concept like 20 years ago. I'm just putting that in the chat right now, guys. And the artist on it is amazing. We're new though. We're very new faces in the comic community and in the kaiju community, even though I've been around forever. We actually just did a let's play. If you guys are interested, last week we did a let's play of Godzilla on the NES where I beat it in one straight shot. It's a long one, so you'll probably want to listen in different portions of it or breaking it down a bit. But we actually had Matt Frank. If any of you are familiar with his work, hop on the stream with us and chat. We had Jacob Lingle from Kaiju United hop on the stream and chat with us. Really cool stuff. I did an Ultraman one yesterday. It wasn't the best. No one was really on with me, so I tend to ramble a little bit. But it's much better when I have folks to interact with and things like that. So someone says, "Isn't there two Godzillas in this?" I don't know that there's two Godzillas in Godzilla Minus One, but I do know that, I mean, there's two different Godzilla franchises happening. You have the American legendary version of Godzilla, which, is dubbed the Monsterverse, starting with Godzilla in 2014, continuing on with Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and then Godzilla versus Kong. Next year, we're getting Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire. Still super psyched about that. And hopefully we get some more kaiju revealed for that, because I did see that they have a the orangutan looking ape kaiju that was kind of teased. I hope there's another one. That's my personal take on that. What was I supposed to do and what have I done? I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. Opinion on Godzilla 98. So I've talked about this for 20 something years now. I grew up, I was born in 85. Oop, dropping stuff here. I was born in 85. I grew up in an era pre-internet, or it wasn't pre-internet. The internet existed, but it really didn't become prevalent until I was probably 10 years old. And even then it wasn't practical for most people. I would say the vast majority of my friends didn't have the internet. I think I had one friend that had the internet. It was dial up. It sucked. You had to wait half an hour for a page to load. It was awful, right? Really wasn't practical until I was probably a teenager, and things like cable were starting to really make its way around. So I spent a lot of my childhood hunting and pecking for Godzilla VHS tapes. Like, that's how I found out. Like, there was no resource for me to just go to. There was a couple of books I'm sure some of you older fans might be familiar with that were around, but there really wasn't a lot of great resources until the Godzilla Compendium came out, and that was a good, solid resource for me. But when 98 came out, it was a wonderful time because so many more Godzilla films became readily available in the United States. I remember it was the first time I had gotten a hold of most of the Heisei era on VHS, because they were being made available through QVC and stuff like that at the time. But not to go off on too much of a tangent, but I was really disappointed with 98. To me, that creature doesn't really represent Godzilla. I like the creature. I still have the giant ultimate Godzilla figure of him. The one that swallowed GI Joes and stuff like that. I enjoy the monster, and I've even kind of created, I know they call them like head cannons, but to me, he was only called Godzilla in the film because some old fisherman just kind of kept saying Gojira, right? And that, so in my mind, he just kind of said that because it reminded him of some stories he heard coming from Japan, and it was just another monster. Other than that, it's a decent giant monster film. I don't hate Zilla. In fact, I really enjoy him showing up as his own kaiju. I have some IDW comics where he fights Godzilla, and the animated series was really well done and everything. But yeah, I prefer Godzilla '98 as its own entity, as its own thing. So that's kind of my take on him. So appreciate the comments. I love the interaction we're getting. Um, let's see. Shin just drinked Goofy Transformer and Grimace juice. That very well could be. That very well could be. Let's see. To be honest, the Mecha Godzilla that was shown at the end of the last episode of Singular Point seems so small compared to Ultima. Yeah, I don't know where they're going with that. I'm not even sure. I think I would not be sad if Singular Point was not continued. Heisei Godzilla is probably the most majestic out of the franchise. Really good films. I agree for the most part. Let's see here. Do you think Godzilla could have a crossover with someone in the far future? Well, I my one of my dreams, and thank you, Caleb, for that. One of my dreams would be to have a crossover with my monsters and Godzilla. Although I know that's kind of a pipe dream and probably would never come true, but I can still dream. Okay, I'm a grown man. I'll own that and still say I have some dreams. But as far as a crossover, I think everyone's been pretty adamant about seeing like a Gamma or Godzilla crossover. Everyone, I think, especially from my era, that was like the big thing, right? We all wanted to see Gamma and Godzilla crossover. I still would love to see that. I have this dream of him and Gamera kind of taking on Gigan and Gueron, just because I think that they're very similar monsters in some respect, with the blade kind of motif going on. I would love to see that. As far as other crossovers, Pacific Rim, I know I'm not the first one to come up with that idea. There's been rumors about it because they're both legendary properties. I would love to see that come to fruition one day. So yeah, I do think Godzilla could have a crossover with someone in the future. I'm hoping to see some ones that make sense. That would be my goal. I'm gonna head out now. Have a good one, Plays. We appreciate you for stopping in. Thanks very much, guys. If you're not following us, please, at Inside Sector-7, you will find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. Please go check out our trailers for our comic. There's 2 trailers for our comic book. You can learn a little bit more about it. You can, of course, secure your copy at Fund My Comic. We've got a long ways to go, but we need the momentum. Truthfully, we need you guys to make it happen. And I think the kaiju community would really, really benefit from just more content. There's a lot of great kaiju comics coming out. I think ours is definitely worthy of being out there. If I can continue to shamelessly plug myself. Someone says 98 is a good movie, just not worthy to be called a Godzilla movie. That's kind of where I was always at with it. Never one. I was always puzzled. Matthew Broderick is not, to me, a leading man. Audrey, the actress that played her name's escaping me. She actually is from my area, like probably within 25 minutes of my house. So it's actually kind of sad that she just never really took off. She was not good in that particular movie. So just unfortunate as far as that goes. Let's see. Andrea says, I guess I have a different mindset on Godzilla 98. I love Zilla. It's an all right movie. I love Zilla too. Like I said, as long as he's called Zilla, or back in the day, we used to call him Gino or Godzilla in name only. And, that was even, to me, more acceptable. I just, like I said, I could never, to me, he did not fit the character. I've never felt that way to that extent, although some of the weirdness of the past couple years, I've come close, but to me, it was still Godzilla. Let's see. What do you think is the strongest Godzilla, not including burning? I would probably have to say potentially Final Wars. Final Wars Godzilla is really strong. He runs a gauntlet of monsters and just kind of owns them until he gets to Monster X. Almost comically. I would say that Heisei is also a very, very powerful version, even before he's burning Godzilla. Like he gets the spiral beam in Godzilla versus Space Godzilla. I think that's a good solid choice as well. Derpyzilla says, "I'm invested in this comic. Thank you, Derpy. We appreciate you. We're doing this for the community. I'm doing this because I love kaiju and I love writing stories about them. I've been doing it most of my life, so to be able to share that with you guys is just awesome." Indo Raptor, do you like Showa era? I love Showa era. I grew up with it. They were the first films I ever saw. I was probably about 3 years old when I first saw Godzilla versus Megalon, and I was hooked ever since. Like I said, hunting and pecking for VHS tapes. It wasn't the Heisei era. In fact, I would have been, let's see, I was born the same year Godzilla 1985 was a thing. I probably had that VHS tape by the time I was 5 years old. But Godzilla versus Biollante was a very rare VHS. When I was growing up, in fact, it had to be special ordered. My first copy of it had to be special ordered through Blockbuster. And it was all I asked for my birthday one year when I finally discovered this movie actually existed. My parents, I think, paid $66 to get that. So Showa era was what I was raised on. And I love them all to this day. I watch them with my kids, etc. Let's see. Derpy, thank you. I see you're heading out. For sure. I appreciate you dropping in, and please subscribe, like, share our stuff. Again, guys, if you're just joining us, we have a giveaway tomorrow. We're going to be watching some cheesy American tokusatsu, kind of like Power Rangers, but even more campy and way worse special effects. So, for sure, join us for that. And I will have a guest on for that. Let's see. Showa Goji says, and Showa Godzilla is able to pick up mountains, not specified which type, but since Gigant could and Godzilla is stronger than him, that makes him extremely strong. I agree. Showa Godzilla is very strong. For sure. I would say that is a really good observation. Vinny Goombats says, amazing stream, dude. I'm going to head out now. See ya. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming. I just am blown away by the level of interaction we've gotten tonight. Guys, we're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep producing content. So I don't want to go too much longer. I actually, this has been wonderful. I just really am so impressed with the community coming out tonight. It's been a pleasure to get to talk to everyone. And this ran actually longer than I thought it would, just with the interaction. Andrea says, I don't think Final Wars Goji is super strong. I think all the other kaijus are very weak. Like Kumanga just got flung. Spiders don't take fall damage. I just think the kaijus are weak besides Monster X. I think you could make that argument. However, I think the idea that they had while making the film was to show not how weak the other kaiju were, but how strong Godzilla was. Gigan definitely holds up. Godzilla did blow his head off pretty quickly, but Gigan was able to hold his own with Mothra for a bit. Actually, ended up killing himself, and that. But it's definitely one of those things where I think I think the kaiju were defeated so easily, simply because they were uh, they were trying to show how strong Godzilla was. Showa Goji stands go crazy. Hey, more power to him. I love the Showa era. Indo Raptor says Shodai Goji is the strongest in my opinion. That's interesting. It's an interesting take. Shodai Goji being the OG. Um, that would be that's an interesting take. I'm not sure. I would definitely agree, but I love because we never really see him fight another monster really in the original. I think it's an interesting argument. Shodai definitely. Well, of course, you could make an argument that maybe in the Kyu series he comes back in a way, um, even though it's more of a ghost. But you know, it's definitely an opinion thing for sure. Showa Goji says, "You do realize how hard it is to throw a kaiju over the horizon of the Earth, right? People say that Legendary is stronger because he lifted Muto Prime, which is heavier than Kumanga. Yes, I think it would. I think it was a pretty amazing feat of strength to launch Kumanga. For sure. Legendary Goji, is he stronger? I think it depends on the movie too. In the first one, he gets pretty well gassed by fighting the Mutos, although that doesn't seem to be an issue in Godzilla versus Kong or King Kong, or excuse me, Godzilla King of the Monsters. So that's all really an interesting take. Ooh, let's see. Blake brings up a great point. He says the -1 trailer gives off that vibe I had with the first 2014 and Shin Godzilla trailer. That's a good thing. I agree. I think that is an awesome, awesome thing. I really love the vibe of this. It's there's a sense of dread. It's awe-inspiring. I hope we get to see that played out. Godzilla Nid says, "What do you think about Ultima being a god?" I think it's interesting. I think Legendaries kind of presented them in at least in similar fashion. They call them Titans, but I really think that the idea of Godzilla being godlike is kind of it's been around a while, and it's just interesting to see a different take on it. I'm again just not a huge fan of Ultima Godzilla in general. Like, it was okay, but it's not really something I was super excited about when I saw him. I was like, oof, I'm not really sure how I feel about the tusks and stuff like that. GMK Stop Motions says, "What's your favorite kaiju other than Godzilla?" That's tough. That's actually a tough question. I love so many. Some of my favorites actually I have around me at my desk. I have several figures of, I don't know if it'll actually show up. I can try. I have several figures of Gueron by my desk. He's one of my favorites just because he's kind of goofy, and I love how campy that film is, Gamera versus Gueron. I love Anguirus. He's one of my favorites. Space Godzilla. Gosh, so many. I could literally name. I mean, almost all of them. The ones I'll tell you what, the ones I'm not as much of a fan of are the ones that are just giant animals, like Ebera, Kumanga, Kamacuras. Those are not my favorites. Mothra has like some godlike powers and qualities, so she kind of gets a pass for me. But the other ones, not so much. I really, really would prefer other kaiju get the spotlight. Like when we were waiting for Final Wars and they were teasing kaiju, they would reveal them, one by one, and I was always disappointed when one of them would get revealed, because I think there's so many more interesting monsters that you could have, like Titanosaurus, like Varan, like Megalon could have came back in that film. That would have been all really fun choices. Um, and with that said, I just think they missed an opportunity and kind of wasted it on some really mid or basic. I almost think of them as like C tier type kaiju. What do you think that is the strongest kaiju that isn't Godzilla? That's a good question. That's honestly a pretty tough one to answer. I think Space Godzilla's up there for sure. I think Destroyer's up there for sure. Hedorah, actually, I think is one that would be a really, really powerful kaiju. I think without human interference, I think Hedorah would have beat, and in fact, kind of did beat Godzilla in that film. And I'm not sure Godzilla could have actually defeated Hedorah without the help of the humans. So that's probably always been the one where I was like, man, I'm not sure Godzilla could have actually won that fight solo. Andrea says, I like how the the gravity beam on Kaiser Ghidorah, where gravity beams, they lifted Final Wars Goji, which I loved the Final Wars movie, but it was just a bit different than what I normally are used to. Absolutely. I love Final Wars as well. I think it could have been better, but it's still one of my favorites. So let's see here. I'm pretty sure Destroyer is the strongest non-Godzilla kaiju, or Void Ghidorah. Both of those are pretty good choices, I think, for strongest kaiju. Destroyer was killed by an extremely leveled up Godzilla, of course, being Burning Godzilla. Void Ghidorah is obviously very powerful. And it's funny just how although Godzilla has beaten many of these monsters, a lot of the times it's often with the aid of the humans. So a lot of these monsters may have actually, in fact, defeated Godzilla without human help. Destroyer really only had they did try to freeze Destroyer, but if I remember correctly, and it's been a minute since I've watched the film, maybe about a year or so. But if I remember correctly, he goes to take off flying, and Godzilla essentially nukes him midair. There's not really a lot of fanfare given to the death of Destroyer, because the scene is very quickly, it transitions to Godzilla's death, which is still one of the most powerful scenes, I think, in any Godzilla film. Just watching him melt down emotionally still just there's that meme out there, emotional damage. I feel that like every single time I watch that scene. Andrea, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Please join us again. Please follow us. We appreciate having you for sure. Please check out the comics. I'm going to pop the link in the chat one more time. If you guys are just joining us or haven't seen it, it's been ticking across the bottom there. You can, of course, just go to Fund My Comic and do a search for us. We've been on the main page at different times. We really need the support of the community in order to make that happen. Shogoji, have you heard the song Who Will Know from the Shin Godzilla movie? It has so... Well, I have heard the song. It was pretty great. Most of the music in Shin Godzilla was awesome. We're at about 45 minutes, guys. This went way better than I ever expected. We are going to talk more about the trailer and get my buddy Raf's opinions on it tomorrow night. Again, we are watching Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills, which is going to be, that is a Power Rangers esque type of show that was on in the mid 90s, where some teenagers fight some really goofy looking giant monsters. It is corny. It is cheesy. We're going to laugh. We're going to have some fun. please join us for that. We're giving away a triple pack of Kaiju. Actually, there's 4 films. We are giving away to one lucky winner tomorrow. We're going to do a little raffle at random, but you have to be in the stream in order to win that. And that's again going to include Peter Jackson's King Kong 05, King Kong versus Godzilla, and King Kong Escapes in one DVD set. And then we have a second DVD of Pacific Rim. Indo Rapper, I'm liking this stream, bro. Shoagoji, I'm liking this stream. I can't wait for you guys to come back. I can't wait to do more of these. We have a really long Let's Play of Godzilla for the NES on our YouTube channel. Again, you can find us at Inside Sector 7. It's been posted to our Twitter and things like that. I may share them out again here shortly. Go check them out. We had Matt Frank who joined us. If you guys have read Godzilla comic books at all, you've probably seen Matt Frank's work. He's done work for IDW and various other kaiju projects over the years. He was on the chat for a while. Just amazing having him on. We had Jacob from Kaiju United on with us. So really, really good time. And of course, myself and my partner, Ron, were on the stream. So while we're playing Godzilla for the NES. So come back and check us out. You guys have been awesome. I'm going to sign off. And we hope to see you tomorrow night. I'm going to same bat time, same bat channel. Little joke there. Oh, hey, Matt, where is the react of Godzilla Minus One trailer? Did I enter late? You did, actually. I was kind of talking about it in the beginning. We played the trailer. And my reaction is overwhelmingly positive. I think it looks awesome. I'm really happy to see a more traditional Godzilla design. My initial reaction was, I see people running, which I don't think we really get a lot of in the legendary films. So that was really, really cool to see that level of like terror and I don't even know that we really saw a ton of it. There was some in Shin Godzilla. I take that back. We saw some evacuations, but I think that's something that the US doesn't really do a whole lot of. So yeah, you were a little late. That's okay. I just appreciate that you showed up and the chat was so active and it was so wonderful seeing everyone that we just rolled with it and it made for a really, really great stream. So thank you once again, everyone. Again, go ahead, check out the comic. Please join us tomorrow night. I'm going to be advertising that on Twitter and Facebook. And my buddy Raph will be on with us, and we'll do this again and just have a blast. So have a great night, everyone. Be safe, and enjoy it right now. We're getting 2 Godzilla movies in the next year. It's going to be awesome. Thank you, GMK Stop Motions. Looking forward to it. Good night, everyone.